So Parashat Kedoshim, the Torah tells us, demands from us, Kedoshim to you, it's a commandment. Kedoshim to you should be holy. And it's a very difficult request to become. And I don't know really how to deal with it. Right away, when you say Kedoshim to you, right away it reminds us, I don't know to us, but at least to me, the beginning of the words of Korach. When Korach comes to Moshe Rabbeinu and he says, "Vayomru alehem," and they said to them, "Rav lachem ki kol ha'edah kulam kedoshim." Everybody is holy. Uvetocham Hashem, and God is among them. There is a clear distinction between Kedoshim Tihiyu, you should become holy, to between what Korach says, Kol ha'edah kulam Kedoshim. Everybody is holy. It sounds the same, but if we look, all of a sudden there are words here, words there, that tell us something else completely. The Kedusha that Korach talks about is a very personal, unique type of a Kedusha, that it is just, I'm Kadosh because I am, because I'm a Jew, I'm holy. And that Kedusha is not associated with any kind of doing, kind of action. And that is completely wrong, because we need to understand that the only thing in the universe and above it that is all holy from itself, by itself, is only a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Anything else that becomes holy, it's only because something was done to it or something was done with it. Nothing is holy because it's holy. And that, by the way, includes us. So don't be mistaken. Don't be fooled by Korach. You already did a problem. Kedusha, that is a zchut, not an obligation. HaKadosh Baruch Hu obligates us to be holy. In other words, you are not born holy. You become holy. You're not born holy. And that was one of the claims that many of the mitnagdim at the time had against the Hasidim. You know, the Admor, the big Rebbe is a big tzaddik, he does whatever, became holy, all of a sudden his son was whatever, boom, he becomes holy automatically. There's no such thing as holy automatically. You have to work hard for that. The Kedusha of Parashat Kedoshim, or our parasha, comes as a demand in a way. Tihiyu, you will be. Not V'hayu Kedoshim. Tihiyu, I command you to be. And that is a commandment for the person who is a believer, Ba'al Emunah, to bring to an expression his holiness, or to become holy by doing the mitzvot. And that's the opening statement that I have. And that's something that we miss along the line. Always. So let's just stop for a second. We saw this discussion, and I'm going to ask you a question. What are we really are? What are we? What are you? What are we? You ever thought about it? Are we holy? Are we not holy? Are we tameh, kadosh? Are we tameh? Are we tzaddikim? Or are we all rashaim? What are we? Are we perfect? Or are we full of mistakes? Are we perfect spouses? Or are we helpless when it comes down to that? In Parashat Be'alotcha, and I know I'm jumping, in Parashat Be'alotcha, Moshe receives a commandment from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to how to sanctify the Levim, how to make the Levim holy, and prepare them for the avodah in the Mishkan. And how does he do it? By sprinkling the Mei Chatat, shaving their hair and bringing the skorbanot, and then later on lift them up by Aharon. So if we're going to look 1 second at the Lashon of the Pasuk, or the Lashon of the Mikra, regarding the concept of chatat, chatat really is a korban, a type of sacrifice that we bring for an avera that came as a violation for a commandment. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us something, we didn't do it, and then we have to bring the korban for it. And that's very perplexing. However, maybe there is a hint here, I guess for the first homeopathic medicine ever, or maybe there's a hint here for maybe the first concept of vaccination. I know vaccines, those who don't like vaccines or those who like vaccines. But I have a news for you. The first concept of vaccination appears in that parasha, in Ba'alotcha. How? We take the disease and we use it in a controlled manner to create antibodies in our body to fight the disease. What are we taking, right? We take in May Chatat. Chatat, we just say it's a korban that came for an avera that we did against HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So it would make more sense if we'll take pure water and we'll sprinkle pure water on people to make them purify. But here we just do the opposite. We take May Chatat by the word. Chatat comes Rishon Chet. May Chatat, and we sprinkle it on it. But there is, in a way here, a main idea. It's a great idea in the way the Torah views the world and views really how we are. Or life itself, maybe. It's Torah's approach to life, I would say. As long as we exist in a materialistic body, there is no sterile situation that is going to be either this or this. It's impossible. It's just impossible. In Chassidut, they teach us that the materialistic, the dark matter inside of us, our failures, the fact that we fall, what we call in Hebrew nefilot, I fell down, those dark places inside of us, these could actually function as our own personal mechatat that in a way actually brings us closer to the real side of who we are really inside of us. I mean, it's not so difficult to purify with pure water, right? That's very simple. But in a way to do that, that means avoiding any contact and any confrontation with life itself, and by doing so becoming pure without any thoughts and so on and so forth. But how much truth there is in that? It's really fake. You can't do that. But how do I come closer to that divine spark, that part of the Ein Sof that is inside of me, and in a way, by doing so, coming closer to Ribono Shel Olam? How do I do that? How could I grow and develop if I don't fail? As Winston Churchill said, success is the ability to go from one failure to another with no loss of enthusiasm. It's amazing when we think about it this way. Because, in a way, unless I'm really stupid or stubborn, right? If a person is stupid or stubborn, which really is, it's okay, there's nothing to do. Only if you fail, there might be a chance that you're going to hear a superior voice, a superior entity that is going to help you fix your mistakes. I failed, it didn't work. So somebody comes and tells you, listen, do this. And this is the place of the Torah. This is the place of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If I'm always succeeding, I'm not going to listen to anybody. So, and maybe one of the biggest mistakes of humans altogether is really to define ourselves in a one-dimensional definition. And what do I mean? Either I'm holy or I'm a sinner. Either I'm bad or I'm good. Either I'm a perfect spouse Oh, I'm a ultimate sinner. I mean, let me tell you, first of all, that's boring. Second, there was a song like this by Steve Miller Band. It's called the Space Cowboys. Over there they call him Maurice, but you know, that's a very interesting song. I tell you the truth, I never appreciated the song. I actually don't like that song. But today, when I was preparing for this, I actually said, well, that reminds me of the song. And that's a great idea. I don't think he actually thought about it, but that's a great idea, you know, about life. Because in a way, what are you? We always define ourselves in such a way, right? But what are you? Well, to your mother and your father, you are a son. To your children, you are a father. To your wife, you are a lover or a friend, I hope, you know. To your friends, you are this. What are you? You are different things. Of course, the idea is to stay loyal to the truth of who you are when you face a situation. In other words, when you in relationship with your wife, you're not going to play the role of a son because she doesn't need a son. She has a son. She doesn't need you as a son, and so on and so forth. But whatever you are, to be truthful. But if you're going to say I'm only this, means you're nothing else. And if we all the same thing, and that's the mistake that we always make all the time. And in a way, it's by defining ourselves as only as one thing, it's taking the whole concept of being human from us. And that's why in society today, there is a trend to define people, to put people into categories. To say, you check when you go to the doctor, what's your race? What do you care what's my race? I'm Formula One. What do you mean my race? I'm a horse race. You know, what do you mean? What's your race? What's your gender? What's your this? What's your that? And that's terrible what happens. You have to define yourself as. I don't want to define myself as anything. I'm everything. I'm a lot of things. I cannot just be one thing. So understanding that, and that's why today I think it's you know, even in terms of politics, what are you? Are you a Democrat or are you a Republican? I mean, if I, for example, am a Republican, I cannot identify with certain ideas that Democrats brings or vice versa. Why do I have to be this and then means the other side doesn't exist? I'm everything. And I'm allowed to have this. So defining is very, very bad. I remember years ago when I went to Israel, I told you the stories, I'm not going to bother with you. I was looking to a place that everybody goes today, and that was Ramat Bet Shemesh. When I wanted to see a place, you know, I went there with my wife. The guy said to me, where you want to live? And he said to me, listen, between you and me, what are you? I said, what do you mean, what am I? He said, are you Shasnik? Are you for? I said, no. He said, well, you Sephardi? I said, but no. So you have to be something. What are you? I said, I don't know, I'm nothing. I don't know. Shulchan Aruch, I don't know. What do you mean, what am I? And he tried to define me based on what he sees and tell me, okay, you should live here. I don't want to live here. And he said to me, well, where you want to live, it's only Mizrahi people and Srugi Kippah. And how would you feel if they put the flag of Israel in Yom Ha'atzmaut? I said, I don't know. Not any difference to me if they put the American flag in the 4th of July. I mean, what do I care what flags they put in his house?
Red light.
Whatever. I said, you know what? This place is not for me. I don't like when they define people. What? Argument's sake, if I'm a Haredi person, I cannot vote for merits if I want to. What does it do with the other? Why is this definition, which is pasul, and we do the same thing to ourselves? And that is a big failure in terms of our abilities to actually grow, and that's why we don't grow. So, as it says in Parashat Kedoshim, how many psukim are there?
64.
64. How many mitzvot are there?
I think 51.
51 mitzvot. So if you look carefully on those different mitzvot, it says that great number of mitzvot that we have, and in a way the lack of connection and interaction between one and the other, they're very arbitrary. Right? They don't only deal with this or with that, you know, it's like a whole melange of mitzvot out there. Can teach us also in a different type of a unique and actually with a quality aspect that it would be reflected from that mitzvot. And that's something that we also fail all the time. A parasha comes to teach us that tapping into kedusha, tapping into holiness, does not necessarily only come when you are in shul or when you are in yeshiva and so on and so forth. Kedusha, holiness, comes in the circle of life and all aspects of your life. In the relationship within the family, in relationship outside of the family, it could be in how you bring the korbanot and how you work the land, whether it's a bet midrash, when you're learning Kabbalah, you're learning Gemara and all these other things. And it teaches us basically that the Kedusha, the holiness in our nation, starts first of all with our attitude and mainly with the way we approach it and the attitude that we have towards it. And the problem that we have many times is a problem with an attitude. One of the problems that we have with an attitude is we say we have to. You don't have to. You don't have to keep kosher. You can eat your steak with cheese on top, and no lightning is going to come and strike you from the heavens once you put it like this. There's no midat adin. But you have to understand that the attitude is wrong. That's why I said to you all the time, don't look for loopholes. Why am I looking for loopholes? If I'm selling you, for example, a car, and I'm going to look for every loophole to sell you less car for more money. Like, imagine there's certain car manufacturers, it became a thing now. I'm going to charge you to put a roof on your car. Yeah, you go buy, whatever car, I don't want to say, I'm going to sue me or something. You're going to buy a car, if you want a hard top, you got to pay. We're going to give you a car with present, with a piece of cloth on top. I don't want it. No, you got to pay for this. You want a spare tire, pay for this. These are loopholes. They're trying to get away with giving me less and charging me more. I don't want loopholes. Tell me what I need to do, I'll do it. I'm looking to do it. I'm here. Years ago, I was in an incident when this rabbi was a very big mekil. For him, everything was allowed. Any kula, any way, that's allowed, that's allowed, that's allowed, that's allowed, that's allowed. So one of the Talmidim wanted to leave at the time the yeshiva. Wasn't this a different yeshiva I was at? He wanted to leave the yeshiva. And I said to him, buddy, why do you want to leave the yeshiva? He says, what do you mean? I came here to hear what I need to do, not how can I get away with things. I want to do things. Don't tell me, oh, you don't have to do this because I found you a loophole. I don't want to do that. So I'm telling you, don't look for loopholes. Don't look for kulot. When it comes to yourself, start with this. You want everything first class. The attitude is a problem. We have a big problem of attitude. Go be eager to do mitzvot. Jump on the mitzvot. Now, more than that, when you look at the Rambam, when the Rambam wants to explain to us why he did not include the commandment, which is a commandment, Kedoshim Tihiyu, you should be holy, in Sefer HaMitzvot as a mitzvah by itself, as a commandment by itself, he says the following, which is fascinating. Ki omro Kedoshim Tihiyu, when Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you should be holy, he says, Tzivui lekiyum kol haTorah. You have to do the whole entire Torah. That's when we know that you have to do all the mitzvot. Because that's how you become holy. כאילו יאמר, היה קדוש בהיותך, עושה כל מה שציוויתיך בו. You should be holy, that means that you should be holy in everything that I commanded you, ונזהר מכל מה שהזהרתך ממנו. And whatever I told you not to do, you are not going to do. And whatever I told you to do, that's what you're going to do. That's how you're going to be holy. You're not going to sit there like a yogi, put a white cloth on you, cover your eyes, as for, give brachot to people. That makes you holy. So in a way, a person, even a simple Jew, could become holy. And that's something tremendous. So according to the Rambam, the Torah in the beginning of Parashat Kedoshim demands the person to be holy, not in actions, in like one-time action. Okay, I'm going to build a shul. Okay, I'm holy. Okay, done. Check. but rather, or by making a statement, Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, okay, that's it, I'm holy, goodbye, check. It doesn't work like this. It says by doing regular stuff. Your holiness comes by sanctifying every second, every moment, every action of your life as the mitzvot that are mentioned in the Torah. And you see, in this parasha especially, it covers all aspects of life. So when you put meaning in every action that you do, why? You ask yourself, why do I eat? Well, I want to make a bracha. Why do you eat? Well, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave it to me. I want to enjoy what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me. I'm thanking Hashem for that. And or I'm eating, well, because it's free. There's a different attitude. Why I'm putting tefillin? What do you mean why I'm putting tefillin? How can I go without tefillin? You know, for us Faradim, I told you this, for us Faradim, that we don't put tefillin in Rosh Chodesh, in Chol HaMoed. I feel naked, I tell you. I feel very weird to daven without tefillin. I feel very weird. I mean, I know what the Shulchan Aruch says, that's what we do, I accept this. But I feel naked. I want to put tefillin. The first time I put tefillin after Chol HaMoed, I feel like bar mitzvah. Actually, I tell you the truth, I'm more excited than bar mitzvah. Bar mitzvah, I wasn't so excited, I was nervous. I didn't have time to be excited. I was nervous. I'm excited. I'm going to put tefillin the first time. Oh, I kissed them. I love them. It's the attitude that we have. Every single moment has to have a meaning, has to have a purpose. I have to know why am I doing this, and I have to live according to the Torah, which I told you many times. When we evaluate life, when we look at life, we cannot put different shades. One time I'm a liberal, one time I'm a conservative, one time I'm a businessman, one time I'm this. No. The only lenses that you're allowed to put on are the lenses of Torah and Halakha. No shortcuts, no wink wink, straightforward. The bracha comes from the fact that we are doing what Kadosh Baruch Hu asked us to do. We are finding ways to avoid it because I want to do. When Kadosh Baruch Hu tells me not to do, I do it. I don't do it. He tells me to do something, I do it. Nobody's expecting you to do things so something that is not your ability, according to each one's ability. But don't get discouraged if you fall, if you fail. Use this. It says, okay, I failed. What do I do? And the Chassidut, they say that's the places in which we that makes us grow. The questions that I ask. A person should not be a blind believer. Ask. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, examine, check, ask about me. The more you ask, the more you'll know, the more you fall in love with me. Don't avoid God. Ask about Him. Don't say, I believe that's it. I believe in God. I believe in God. Check. Nothing anymore. Okay. Who did the Jets had in the draft or the Giants? They had a good draft. Partly, I don't really care. But you don't believe? I believe it. Didn't check, man. I did Torah, I learned Torah. Yeah, how did you learn Torah? Well, I did Parashat HaKorbanot in Tefillah. That's not learning Torah. But if you are really stressed for money, and that's the only thing you can do, learn this with such dveikut. Kadosh Baruch Hu will count it as your Torah. Because it's your attitude that counts. The attitude and the meaning behind it. That's what makes you holy. And understanding that, we need to understand there are different opinions. And there are many opinions, and there are many definitions. And anybody that tries to tell you that is not, is wrong, is mistaken. Because this is really the beauty of this whole thing. We says, En tzaddik shelo yechta. There isn't a tzaddik that is not going to sin. That doesn't make sense. A tzaddik could sin. Of course, it depends on percentages, but even if a tzaddik can sin. But before that, I'm going to ask you, what is a tzaddik? If we look at the definition of what is a tzaddik, is a person that percentage-wise has more mitzvot than averot. He's considered to be tzaddik. The Torah does not require us to be tzaddik with zero averot, because you can't grow. You know who has zero averot? Zero. Doesn't do any averot. A dead person. A dead person doesn't do averot. He doesn't do mitzvot either. In other words, one is dependent on the other, the existence of the other. As we says, our job is to separate and to say this is this and this and this, and that's where I'm going. We all have averot, different averot, but that's where we grow. There's no such thing as 100%. A person is 100% Rasha or is 100% Tzaddik. Everybody has averot in him. One avera of a person could be somebody else olam haba, but each one to himself. And maybe because of that, that's the reason why David HaMelech was chosen to become who he was, or who he became. The one who is the melucha, the kingship, comes from him. Maybe that's the reason. Not because he did not make mistakes, but rather because he was able to understand the mistake that he made and to use it as a leverage to go up. And how do we know that? Of course, we know it from many places, but especially from the sin. If we say David HaMelech, right, everybody thinks about Bathsheba. Oh, Bathsheba. But it says he made tshuva. And what was the tshuva? And how do we know he made tshuva? Right? Because it says, Mizmor LeDavid, Bevo alav Natan HaNavi, Kebo al Bathsheba. In other words, he made tshuva with the same power, with the same desire that he had for the Averah of Bathsheba, as like this he made tshuva. If he was not able to experience that, he would not be able to generate this kind of tshuva. So if you fall down, don't give up. Don't say, okay, and don't have the attitude, okay, I'm gonna fail in this and then I'm gonna make tshuva. That's they said to him, the Gemara Chachamim tells us, a person that says, I'll make a sin today and tomorrow I'll make tshuva, it's never gonna happen. But rather, if you fail, which everybody fails, each one to his caliber, but everybody fails. I mean, for a big Talmid Chacham that learns all the time, for him will be, you know what, I usually take a break from 5 to 3 to 3 o'clock. Today I'm going to do it till 3:15. But for him, that's a failure. Well, and for somebody else, I'll have ILI to learn all day long and take a break, extra 15 minutes break or 20 minutes break. Each one to itself. But don't look at how you look by end. Look at yourself, examine yourself. It's all about how you stand in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And from here, grow forward. All the time, you fall down one step. Use it with enough momentum to jump up. It's just like in a bow and arrow. Or anything that derives a projection forward needs to have a movement backwards. If I have a bow and arrow, and let's say the bow and arrow has a resistance because I'm pulling it back of 5 pounds. Only 5 pounds. How far would this thing go? Fall down, not far. But if I have a bow and arrow that has pull of 80 pounds, and I mean I really need to pull it, and I let go, that this thing would fly, it will go through a wall, the arrow would fly. So in order to fly far, in order to penetrate deep, in order to anchor yourself, I need to draw back. Those nefilot, the fact that we fall, allow us to grow. So don't give up. Don't give up. Listen, this is maybe the biggest difference in concept between Judaism and Christianity. The biggest difference. Christianity believes that everybody is an ultimate sinner and you're not capable of doing anything. That's it. You're doomed. Karma. You're doomed. But Judaism says no. We all fail. But b'koach ha'emunah, we pull ourselves forward, and then we go forward, then we go forward, then we go forward. And that's all we do. And that's, to my humble opinion, the meaning of becoming holy. Sanctifying every single act without giving up, without Yehush. En lityayesh. En Yehush ba'olam. Mr. Nachman says, En Yehush ba'olam. Because when you give up hope, you become hopeless. As long as you could change, as long as your heart is beating, it could be changed. Always better to change it before. But if not, change it now. Change it. It could be changed. Use this and say, okay, I fell. How did I fall? What caused me to fail? Well, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do this. Okay. Let me fix it. I missed minyan today. What did I miss minyan? I said 15 more minutes. Okay, tomorrow no 15 more minutes. I didn't come to minyan again. Why? I go to sleep late. Okay, so go to sleep on time. Fix it. If this was your business, if you're making a mistake, and you say, don't worry about it, and then you're going to become bankrupt. But if somebody tells you, Habibi, This is how you do. You did this wrong. You added, you moved the point, instead of here, you moved it here. Fix it. It's not a problem. Just learn how to add, or learn how to run a business. You should listen, you'll be successful. Being holy is a commandment to sanctify our actions, but also to, if I may say, not to ever give up. Shabbat Shalom.